Hi everyone, Jared here. Time for the market video update. We have had a very interesting morning, and it was interesting for literally several minutes, and then it's gone flat. So we've got a couple of things to talk about. We've seen definitely some strong rallies on the part of the dollar, but we've also seen some pretty strong rallies on the part of the U.S. equities, which is kind of odd. So gold has been coming down quite a bit. But the Dow is up, the S&P's up, oil's up, and the dollar's up. So it's been a very, very interesting morning. We're going to see how this plays out. We're in kind of a transition period between what the market wants to do, if it's just retracing or if it looks like it's trying to do something else. We're going to talk about that shortly. We saw a little bit of news come out. The CPI for the UK came out exactly as expected. The German ZOO, as you can see, came out much better than expected. Horrible numbers last month and still bad numbers this month, but quite a bit better than expected. And then we saw Canada, which did not change their interest rate. Coming into tomorrow, we've got lots and lots of more news coming. So we've got the claimant count for the UK, and then we've got a lot of US news the next morning, as well as Australian employment news coming later in the afternoon tomorrow. Dollar index right here, really just kind of bouncing around. If you look at it on the daily chart, we've talked a little bit about the fact that this 82 area is a very, very strong resistance, and the market's having a little bit of trouble getting through that. It's kind of bounced and coming off of that pretty well. So here we are about 81.34-ish, and it's really kind of just deciding what it wants to do. And I think that there's some further upside to this, but the question is going to be is how much retracement are we going to get out of the dollar index? And that seems to be the question across the board with so many of these pairs. So quick little look at a few of these here. We saw that we had a shorter term Fibonacci level yesterday from this high to this low, and this pushed just above the 61.8 by a couple of pips, and then it's turned and come down quite a bit. Well, I expanded my horizons and kind of went to our next fib level here, the next larger range, and the euro has come up perfectly to the 38, as you can see right there, and just bounced off that perfectly and is headed right back down. We saw that all happen this morning, just tanked, and then everything just went totally sideways. Very kind of strange market behavior this morning, but so far the euro is still staying in our channel, and it looks like it still wants to head down and get lower, and I think it's going to, but it's kind of just at an interesting period. I think that there is some more downside here. We saw this nice little trend line break, and that caused that quick, good, nice movement there. You can see it all happened over about 30 minutes or so, and then the market has just kind of continued to consolidate. So a couple of things that I like looking at on this is possibly just the short-term break. Getting our signal from some of the shorter term movement here on this 5-minute chart. The market's kind of really run and bounced, and it looks like it might be able to get through this. Now, the reason I like this is because it's already made the bounce off this fib level, which was just shy of 12800. Big bounce off that, pushed above the daily gap, or excuse me, the 1 hour gap, and it's come off that level. I don't think we're going to get another test of that high too terribly soon, and if we do, I think we're looking for much further upside as opposed to just another test and a continuation down. So I think if it does push higher, it's probably headed into 12900, which I don't see how or why the euro would be able to do that, but it may. So our short-term entry is probably going to be on this little breakout here on the 5-minute chart. You can see we've got some highs here, about 15 pips or so. And I think this is going to be what we want to start looking for in getting lower on this euro dollar. You can see that it's already breaking right now, and it looks like there might be some nice continuation down on this pair, and really something to be able to start that 1 hour crossover. So I think that's what we're going to be looking for at this moment. Some crossovers and just kind of trend line breaks as the market continues, and we want to get it back down into these lows and through these lows. Everything on all the charts and time frames are favoring that kind of movement. We just had a nice little retracement up. It's getting choppy here, but looks like this pair should be able to continue down. So once again, our entry is going to be just on this little 5-minute chart, short-term movement, somewhere in this 127.30, 35 area, with stops just above this little spike and some nice continuations down, hopefully of at least 20 pips, but really more of 50 to 70 pips is what I'm looking for on that one. The pound has done the same thing. We grabbed a couple of nice pips on the pound coming down here on this breakout, and then it's just kind of really started to consolidate as well. The pound did the same exact thing. We talked about this level, and this one it hit to the pip plus about 2. We talked about 15400 as you remember yesterday, and that was the 38% fib level right here. That was the upper daily pivot point. That was just above the 1 hour gap. It hit that perfectly and has come off it very nicely. So far about 65 pips. And it looks like this one's ready to continue down as well. I think we're going to have, I think this 1 hour crossover is going to be able to play out. The pound is bouncing off those lows, but I think it's going to very, very much be able to continue. It's still in the upper part of the channel. It's got a long ways to go down. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for there. As far as the short-term entries go, I think we need to probably try to enter somewhere back in this consolidation around 153, 45, 50, right around there. It's only, you know, we're talking about 10 to 15 pips from where it is, but I think we've got to get in probably in somewhere back in this messiness with stops just above these highs to be able to kind of continue down and get some nice entries there. But I think this pound dollar, I think this 1 hour crossover is going to play out. Our trendline breakout should be able to continue, and this bounce off the 38 fib should be able to make it as well. And we're looking for at least the 152.80 area, which you can see is about 50 pips, and from the entry I'm talking about 60 to 65 pips away. And I think that's going to be the nice continuation down. So we've got a nice little run there. So again, we're looking for entries probably around 153.45 to take this down to about 152.80 and hopefully beyond. Euro yen, same kind of situation. This thing ran up, and when we look at kind of the larger scale here, we see that this ran up and just barely touched that 23 fib level, and then is coming right back down. But it hasn't come all the way back down yet. And in fact, we've got a nice little trend line right here, and I think the euro yen's going to be good for a little short-term entry to continue selling this pair and hopefully getting it down into some of these areas of 30 to 40 pips right in that general area. So we're looking at some potential breakouts here of about 97, probably 75. 97.75 should give this euro yen a nice start to continue heading down. That should confirm that trend line breakout and get this pair going. So I'm going to be looking for that continuation down on the euro yen. So keep an eye on that. Pound yen looking messy. Aussie dollar though, remember the Aussie dollar. We're talking about this right here, and we talked quite a bit about this morning. How the Aussie dollar tried to make a bit of a breakout and just wasn't really super duper able to get there, and so as it kind of broke this resistance, it's coming into this upper area of the channel and this descending trend line, and it looks like it just doesn't want to really make a break for it. So it's testing these upper areas, and like I said, I'd want to see a breakout and a nice kind of retracement and just consolidation above there, which it's not really been able to do. So I don't know if I'm really buying this breakout at this point, and so I'm looking at kind of the short-term potential movements here. This has been a very strong support and resistance, which is about 103.80, and it's starting to break back below that. So I think there's going to be some short-term activity below this, with the market staying below this 103.75.80. So there's probably going to be some little short-term breakouts and some nice little runs of 20 and 30 pips on the continuation down there on the Aussie dollar. And then we're still going to have to kind of wait a little bit. This may be able to bounce off the trend line and continue up through that breakout, and that's a very real possibility as well. But at this point, it's a little bit unclear. And then gold. Remember gold. We've talked about gold probably reaching the 1680 mark, and I'm still looking at that to happen, about 1680. It got up so far to about 1667, and then it's bouncing pretty strong off that level. We've got a nice trend line, as you can see here on the 4-hour chart, the 1-hour chart. If that trend line breaks, I think we could see a bigger continuation down on gold, and that's going to really confirm that the euro dollar and pound dollar once again are going to be able to make those bigger continuations down, and all of these pairs across the board. And then again, we're always keeping an eye on the dollar Swiss franc. We've got to get this thing above about 95.80, 9600, and that's going to be the big continuation we're looking for. Dollar Swiss franc had a similar kind of thing here. You can see this range, larger range. It came down and just kind of tested the 50, the 38, and it's right back up again. So I think this dollar Swiss franc can make it, but it's going to have to get through that upper level before we have any kind of clarification or confirmation. So once again, probably the trades that I'm looking for most closely rally right now. Euro dollar looking for a break and a continuation down. Pound dollar looking for just a little bit of retracement on this 1 hour crossover, about 15 pips or so back, and then a sell. And then euro yen looking for this trend line break right here. And I think we're going to get a nice little move and a continuation down there. So great sells, great entries, great things happening. Best of luck, guys, and we'll see you in the chat.